welcome to another episode of Big Local Live, Tarek's Community Podcast. And I would like to welcome another special guest, Matt, who's our rep for Big Local. Matt, how are you today?
I'm fine, Tarek. How are you doing?
Nice to have you on the show today.
Thanks.
Today, I just want to find out a bit about what you do with Big Local and maybe a little bit elsewhere as well. My question to you is, what is Big Local?
Well, Big Local is one of the biggest projects I think the voluntary sector in England has maybe ever attempted, particularly in terms of regeneration. It's a national project in which 150 neighborhoods across the country are each getting £1 million over a 10-year period. And so it's quite a huge project in terms of that level of investment and in terms of that amount of time. Usually projects like this would run for maybe 2 or at most 5 years, but this one is running for 10 years. And aside from the amount of money, the other thing that makes it unique is that local residents have to be in control of what happens. It's not outsiders, it's not the council, it's not big organizations, it's only local residents decide what to do. So every big local has a partnership of a minimum of 8 people. I know Heston West is a lot bigger than that, which I think is great. And at least 5 of these have to be local residents within the area that is being served. So I think that's part of what makes it really unique and makes it really special in that it's completely driven by the people that actually live there. And the aims are to make the area a better place and improve skills and capacity of local residents, as well as to just improve the quality of life for everyone.
So just like on that question, how do you feel Big Local are actually doing with the community? It's not on here, but I just wanted to add that question. How do you feel that they're doing? How do you think, are they doing a good job, or do you think they're doing a good job?
I think Heston West is one of the strongest partnerships I've ever seen, having worked with quite a few at this point and also talking to other reps across the country. It has a very large number of very committed local residents. They act very swiftly and very effectively, and they're very good at leveraging in support from other places, whether it's Morrison's or external funding or the council. So I'm very impressed by what Heston West does. It's really, I think, one of the strongest big locals in the country.
So how did you get involved, like personally, yourself? How did you get involved?
I think it was 2014. They were looking for some new reps because they had hired a group of reps at the beginning of the program, which I think was 2013, to get into the areas and get the partnership set up. And so these people were very specialized in community engagement and not so much project delivery. So they were looking for people that had skills that I have in terms of project design, delivery, and management, making things work in the project stage rather than the getting people involved stage.
Oh, wow. Um, have you always been interested in community work and development work?
I think I've always been very interested in ways to improve people's lives and a strong sense of social justice. So when I first came to England in 2001, through a connection, I got a job at a Vietnamese refugee center out in Hackney because I had just come back from living in Vietnam, so I spoke the language and knew the culture. So I worked there for a couple of years, and that was quite a really interesting experience, working across Hackney and all the different community groups, working with different ethnic minority communities there. Then I got a job working for an organization that supports people that are in immigration detention out at Heathrow. So I did that for a couple of years. And then I worked on South Acton Estate up in Ealing. doing community development and supporting BAME community groups for about 10 years. And then I sort of slowly shifted over to working for Big Local.
Wow.
So about 20 years altogether.
Wow, you've done a lot. I'm surprised I haven't got your autograph yet.
Well, you know, I mean, it's over 20 years. It's a lot, I guess. I mean, it's been interesting, and certainly working in healing over those 10 years, I did work with over 100 different organizations. So it was really great to get a very wide scope and working with a lot of different people.
Just quickly before I ask the other question, how many? You said you speak another language. I don't want to put you on the spot, but how many languages can you speak?
Well, I studied French in school, but that was, you know, 30 some years ago. And then I lived in Vietnam for 2 years, so I picked up a certain amount of Vietnamese, but that's a very difficult language. And I don't remember a whole huge amount of it. I mean, I got to the point where I could talk to people and I could maybe make it through an article in the newspaper if I could look at the picture and determine what it was about. But that's, you know, I'm not a big linguist.
All right. So, you know, what does a rep, big local rep do?
Big Local Rep is there to serve primarily as an advisor to the partnership and the residents. So I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm not here to directly undertake work, and I'm not here to directly enforce a lot of rules and regulations and bureaucracy. There's a certain number of very small rules that Big Local has that have to be followed. For example, that the partnership has to have a minimum of 8 people and 5 of them have to be residents, uh, and that you can't make grants to individuals, for example, and just to kind of keep things on the up and up in a basic way in terms of making sure the financial stuff is done properly and you have the policies and procedures that you need. But otherwise, I take the steer from the partnership and the residents, and I'm here to support whatever they want to do in the best possible way to build their skills and capacity. So I might, for example, walk them through uh, a new conflict of interest policy, or currently we're trying to set up an independent organization legally body for Heston West so that it can apply for its own funding and keep going after the local trust money runs out. So I might help on that and advise on that. But really, it's supposed to be a very late touch advisor, listening ear, and helping hand.
Wow, that sounds a lot of things to do. How many areas do you support?
At the moment, I do 4. So I've got Heston, and then I've got Hanwell Big Local in Ealing, just north of you guys. Then I've got Prospect Estate, which is out in Farnborough. And then I have one that's just north of Bexhill in the southeast. And previously, I was covering, before I came to Heston, I was covering um, Broad Green in Croydon, which was a very interesting area. Um, so yeah, at the moment I've got those 4. Typically reps have somewhere between 1 and maybe up to 5, but not really more than that.
So
And they're very different.
oh,
2 of those, Hanwell and Heston, are, you know, urban London areas. Prospect Estate is a very small estate in a rural area in Farnborough. And Sidley in Bexhill is north of Bexhill, but it's like a small town that has a high street, thriving high street, a lot of green spaces, very different. But I think they all face some of similar challenges and have similar strengths.
so regarding you as a big local rep, any challenges you face or overcome, including the areas that you support, maybe as well? But any
I
challenge?
think, like I was just saying, that I think outside of Heston West, which does such a brilliant job of engaging local people and volunteers, I would say other areas find that to be a challenge to really engage with lots and lots of volunteers who are really committed. I would say the primary challenge that probably every rep in every area faces is that what I always say is that the great thing about community work is that you can do whatever you want. You can address any possible issue that affects the community. But the downside is you can do whatever you want and you can address any possible issue that affects the community. So it can sometimes become very overwhelming to try to do everything or try to do too much. And sometimes you need to be able to scale it back and really concentrate, do slightly fewer things better than doing too many things in maybe not the best possible way.
So how have you overcome them if you haven't mentioned them?
I think that's where the plan comes in. Every area has a plan that it designs over maybe a year or 2 year or longer period that it will then follow for the work that it's going to do. And these are flexible and adjustable, but sitting down and working out the plan of starting with all the ideas of the things that we'd like to do and then whittling it down to what's a manageable number of things to do. That's kind of actually a key part of the rep's role, is to support through the plan development process. And that's really the main place that you do it, where you sit down and say, okay, wait, this is way too much. There's no way we're going to be able to do all this.
So we like Big Local. What's your favorite memory so far in Big Local? Do you have a best?
Oh, well, I got invited to be on this young man's podcast. That was the best.
Oh, thank you so much.
I think that for real, down in Sidley, they decided to. There was a local guy who he had been the manager of the local pub, and then that pub got bought out by Heineken. It's kind of like a two-part memory. Pub got bought out by Heineken, and the partnership said, and they were going to close it down. And this is, kind of the heart of the community, and it's a grade 2-star listed building, has a lot of history in the area. And they decided they were going to start a petition to get Heineken to not close the pub. And I didn't really say anything, but privately, I was thinking, come on, this is Heineken. It's a huge multi-billion pound multinational company. They don't care what you think. But actually, it worked. They did a big petition and they got the local paper involved, and Heineken backed down and kept it open. So that was fantastic. But unfortunately, the landlord of that pub was put out of work when it got sold. And he really threw himself into working for Big Local and decided to start cooking and doing community lunch club for the older people there. And he does a brilliant job with the food. But my favorite memory out of that was that as it started, first it started where there was only 5 people, and then there was 8 people. And now they're getting 40 people there. But there was a little old lady who said, this is the highlight of my week, and it's the only time of the week when I actually leave the house. And that really, I just thought, wow, that's so great. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
You know what's my highlight quickly? My highlight is the food bank, hearing loads of positive messages about people receiving food that can't really receive food. That's my highlight, and also doing this podcast as well. But
I agree that the food bank is amazing. It's just fantastic. And I remember going to the meeting.
Overjoyed, yeah, seeing people overjoyed.
I went to the meeting before the pandemic really hit here, and before lockdown, before anything, when we were maybe 2 weeks away. And I was talking about my concerns about, what's going to happen if they close the schools and the kids don't get access to free school meals. And have you guys been in touch with the food bank to see if they're slammed? And everybody just got really fired up. Yes, we can't have this. We can't have kids going hungry, and threw themselves into it just right there and then. And that was brilliant. That was really fantastic.
So, what are your personal and professional goals for the future? Do you have any?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, Big Local is going for about 5 more years. And so when that wraps up, I'm going to have to find something else. to do, and we'll see if there's any kind of follow-on program or something. I'm currently also working for an arts charity that supports writers and artists who face barriers due to disability or mental health or being from underrepresented communities. I'd like to stay there, I think, but we'll see what happens. It's a bit hard to say. I mean, in 5 years' time, Big Local will be over, and my last kid will be at college, and that's going to be quite a different time for me.
Yeah, I'm going to put this next two questions kind of together. How have you
Okay.
How have you been coping during lockdown? Have you learned any skills during lockdown as well? Like any skills that people can learn during lockdown? Maybe something on the computer that people can learn, or something that you have done during lockdown?
I've actually been quite busy because at the beginning stages of lockdown, there was a huge amount of work to do to get all the Big Local areas responses up and running and move partnership meetings onto Zoom. And then in my other job, we do sort of events and also writing workshops and moving those all online. So it's been quite busy, actually, quite a lot of it. So I have not faced the kind of boredom that some people have faced. Learn new skills. Well, like everyone, I've become a master of Zoom. And I don't know, I've been trying out a few new recipes. I currently have been making Singapore style noodles. It's my son's favorite now.
Nice. So if I have any problems with Zoom, I would come and ask you, right?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm still learning.
Okay. This is kind of a cheeky question.
Yeah.
Which big local area you support is your favorite?
Come on, Tarek. You know I'm not. I don't. It's like having kids. I can't say which one of your sons is your favorite. I don't have a favorite.
I know it's a big question. Um, so you don't have a favorite. So what's your message?
No.
What's your message to the community during this difficult time? When you,
I think I think now that we are moving to the next stage, I guess I would have two messages. The first of which is yes, we've all had 3 months of not really being able to go out and really being able to do things. But we can see from what's happening in other countries that have loosened up their lockdown that their infection rates have shot back up again and they're having to reimpose lockdowns. So I think the first message would be that we still need to be careful out there and we really need to come out of this in a very careful and managed way. And the second thing is that I think the amazing thing that everybody saw through this period was how well people came together and how well they looked after each other and how well everybody became conscious of the fact that we're all in this together and everybody's got to look after each other, particularly in areas that are deprived like Heston and other big local areas, that we're the ones that are going to look after each other. And I hope we keep doing that.
yeah, I hope so too. So anything you want to add before we finish? Any message? Any final words?
I think I'd just like to say I think you're doing a brilliant job, Tarek, and I hope that you keep this going and keep adding new episodes. And if there's any kind of particular person that you would like to interview, if you maybe let me know, I'll see if I know somebody that might be able to come on.
Thank you for your help. I just want to say before we finish also, I just want to say thank you to everyone listening in. I hope you all enjoy it and please request to be on the show. I would love to hear your stories. Um, so yeah, thank you for joining me today, Matt.
No problem.
So,
Thanks for having me on, Tarek.
this is Tarek's Community Podcast, Big Local Live, and goodbye.